Our next guest is a former welterweight champion. After a tough outing at UFC 207, he has made the exciting decision to move up to the middleweight division, fighting Hector Lombard at UFC Fight Night Halifax. The big rig has arrived to Submission Radio. Johny Hendricks, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No, thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much for coming back. We've been wanting to chat to you for a while. Let's discuss this past month. Before we sort of get into the fighting, of course, obviously it was a difficult time for you with UFC 207 not going your way and the issues with the weight cutting, but also when you're not fighting, you're a husband and a father. So tell us, once you're finally done with the fight, what was that like? What was the last month like for you? What did you and the family do to relax and sort of take a load off over the holiday break?
You know what? We really didn't take a break. I took a week off, had to let my body reset. And that's one reason why I had to, that's why I'm moving up to middleweight, because, cutting weight now is hard on my body. It's getting difficult, as you can tell, for me to hit 170. I think it's just because I've done it for so long. And after that, I told my coaches I want to go 185. And once we made that decision, we sort of started trying to get another fight. So there's really no break for me. And, that's really what it's been like is, going from one fight now that, right now I'm at 200. I hit 196 on Friday. So, the weight's not going to be an issue. And I think also with my fighting that I haven't really been able to fight to my best ability because the weight cut's been so difficult for me. And so that's really what the last month has been for me is sort of, talking to the wife saying, hey, I want to move up. I know that obviously, we don't want to see 70s anymore. I wish I could. I know that I'd have to do a huge lifestyle change, but I also know that with 4 kids, it's sort of hard to do that. And, like I said, we started training again. We started doing things to get ready for the next event that could possibly happen.
I'm just curious. I just want to go back to that point where you sort of told the coaches that you want to move up to middleweight. I mean, it's been a point in contention for quite some time for yourself. A lot of people have spoken about it. What was that final moment that made you decide to move to middleweight? Can you explain that revelation that went through your head where you said, okay, that's it. I'm going to middleweight?
Yeah, well, you know what? It was like my weight was going great. I was going, dude, we're going to make weight easy. This is going to be, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I hit 179. Once I hit 179, I went up there. We did a workout usually that I normally do. Nothing crazy, but something that, something that I've been losing 6 pounds doing. So I was like, hey, we'll probably lose 3 since, I'm getting a little lighter. And it was not Thursday, it was Wednesday, excuse me. And whenever I hit, whenever I hit on that Wednesday, I did what I did it, and I only lost 1 pound. And that's whenever things started going south for me. And that's whenever I realized, you know what? There's a time to listen to your body and there's a time not to, and I've decided not to listen to it for the last year. I've wanted to move up to 85 for over a year now, but I still know that I can compete. I know welterweight is a great division, right? Now it's not, because if I can't go out to perform, if I'm performing at my worst and I keep losing, well, what does that do for me? You know what I'm saying? That's just a waste of camp and a waste of time, a waste of money, for one. And I know I can still fight. And another thing that happened is when I went to OSU, I was wrestling these guys, and they were like, how are you losing weight and you still feel strong? Well, the next time I went up, I was close to 82. And they pretty much said, you don't feel as strong now. And once that happens, I'm going, okay, Now is really time for me to listen to my body and say, hey, something's got to give. I either got to retire, right, or I got to move up. And why not? I got one fight left on my contract. Why not see what happens at 85? If I go out there and I feel strong and I feel good, and here's the thing, if I, most of the fights in the last year, past the first round, I'm wondering if I have enough to get to the second and the third. And that's sort of where my body's been. It sucked, but it's just, like I said, something that I wanted to do. I still wanted to be a welterweight. And like I said, now that I've missed weight twice in a row, I'm done with that. And what's worse is that I haven't performed that well. I've been looking pretty bad. Even my last fight, I thought I did enough to win. It didn't go my way. So what do? You continue to beat your head against the wall, or do you say, you know what, it's time to jump over it, and jump over it means go 185 and see how you do? Here's the thing, worst case scenario is worst case scenario is my last fight. I fight, I still don't perform like I want to, then guess what? I'm done. But if I go out there and I perform like I want to, and I can move like I want to and have the energy, then it's a great choice. Not only that, but with the IVs, no IVs, and all that kind of stuff, you're seeing a lot of more people move up in weight class, because they're not able to regain all their strength. Even though we're weighing in earlier to give us more time to hydrate, but it's still not going where it needs to go, like in our muscles and all the things to perform at our best.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of a lot to unpack there, Johny. So I'll go with this one first. You said something interesting, and that's that if the fight doesn't go your way, then you're done. This is something that you said last time, and it obviously a lot of people spoke about it, that if you lose to Neil Magny, that you were going to retire. And you spoke about it at UFC 207, where that was kind of something you put out there because you were sick of the media always looking forward and looking past your fights and asking you about the title and GSP and all these other fights. So how serious are you about this potential retirement, that if things don't go well for you at middleweight in your next fight, that's the last fight?
Serious. Really serious, because realistically, I thought I won that fight. And I rewatch it, and I rewatch it, and I rewatch it. Okay. So in Vegas, you pressure somebody. I've been pressured before, and I've lost the fight. It's not that they outstruck me; it's because they're more aggressive than me. Right? I lose the fight. I get that. Okay, you work on that. Then you go out there and you do this and you lose the fight. Well, this fight, I pretty much controlled him, what would you say, 13 minutes? Let's be on the realistic side. I'd say about 13 minutes of the fight, besides a minute of submission and 15 seconds of a submission, which neither one, it was going to get tight, but I made a slight adjustment, and it went away. And all of a sudden, you lose a fight because of that. You're going, all right. So that's why I felt like I won, but even though I didn't, so that's why I'm looking at this going, it's got to be the weight, right? It's got to be the weight. That's why I wanted to do my last one at 85. And I tried to move up to 85 before my last fight, but my coaches and everybody said, hey, let's just try one more at 70. But like I said, here's the thing, that if I go out there and I don't feel as strong and I can't compete, well, like I said, that's really what it's about, is that I felt like I still competed in that match. Even though it wasn't my best performance, I still competed. And he doesn't hit me. He doesn't do anything. He had this 80-inch reach and he can't touch me. Those are things that I put into consideration. Yes, I said if I lost, I would. But again, what I'm saying is, if I go out there and get beat up like I did the last two fights, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where I still can't compete with those guys, which I clearly showed that I can. Now, I'll be better, I think, at 85, but like I said, if I go out there and I can't compete, well, I guess I can't make 70, right? I'm not going to try to ever again. It's just too hard on my body. And if I fight good at 85, well, then I'm going to stay there. But if I don't do good, then guess what? It's time. I had my fun. I've had my time. It's not worth, like I said, it's not worth going out there and training for 12 weeks and then being done. Going out there and just losing. And that's really what it's about, is that, all I can say is that, and everybody, and here's one thing that really leads me to believe that that fight was mine. Did you hear the boos after that?
Yeah.
The whole crowd thought I won that fight. So I don't want to leave whenever the fans think I've won. And that's really where my head's at, is that, hey, they believe I won that fight, so I'm going to do one more. And if it doesn't, like I said, and here's the thing, is that I don't care about retirement. And you're right. I did use that as a something for people to get off my back about what's next. And for me, it was just sort of something that I could do easily. And plus it kept, I don't know if you saw a little media rant. I plan on doing something else like that if they keep asking the same questions over and over. But it's just something that, I want people to realize what's going on right now.
It's been difficult times for you as of late. Some losses, obviously issues with weight cutting, putting your body through what I would guess is unimaginable issues. We were there at UFC 200. We saw you shaking up on those scales. Also, the financial stress of losing a percentage of your purse. When you look back at everything that you went through to try and cut that weight and try and fight at welterweight, do you wish that you sort of moved to middleweight a long time ago? And can you pinpoint a time that you sort of wish you would have moved to middleweight rather than sort of go through all those hardships?
You know what? Realistically, after probably there was a part of me that wanted to move up right after I lost to Lawler.
Oh, wow.
Once I lost that fight, I was sitting there going, you know what? I wonder if I can move up. And really that's where my head's been since then, is, hey, let's just move up. It's going to be, it's going to be harder, but life will be more enjoyable. But the thing is that with that being said, after the Lawler fight, I knew that if I knew that if I did one thing, I could be back in the hunt. Well, guess what? I'm chasing a rabbit. I'm chasing a rabbit that I can't catch, because it's either the weight hurts me or I do make weight and I don't fight to my ability. And, there's so much that's going on. And like I said, I'm just done chasing the rabbit. I sort of want to fight for me and me alone. If that, and you're sitting there, but there's a lot that goes into moving up as well. Just because now, so for example, I still want to stay 205 like I have been 210. So I don't want to balloon up to 240 and have to cut down to 85 or 230 and do the same thing. And hey, you still have to lose 80 or 50 pounds. I want to stay at 205, build up my strength, build up, and start focusing on what I need to get better. Not about the weight. Most of my weight, or most of my camps, half of it's focusing on how to get myself down to 170. Well, like I said, Friday I wasn't even trying. I hit 196. All right, well, now I'm 10 over. Now I can actually go to my coach and say, hey, what do we need to work on? They're like, well, how's your weight? My weight? Oh, right now I am exactly, I'm 15 over. I wake up at like 13 over, and by the time I see them, I'm 15 to 16 over. That's sort of nice to have in your back pocket when it comes to training.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you sort of answered the question about whether, whether you'll be putting on any extra muscle, you sort of still be staying around that size. I'm wondering, what was the UFC's reaction with your move to middleweight? Because it kind of felt like maybe they would have wanted you to do this a little bit earlier, but I guess you were a contender at welterweight. What was the discussions like with them regarding this move?
Nothing. Right after the scale, I just looked at Joe Silva, and he's gone now. He's retired, but I looked at him and said, I'm done. I'm done at welterweight. The next time I fight, I'll be 85. He looked at me and goes, okay. I like where your head's at, because obviously, like I said, it'd be one thing if I was making it or getting within a half a pound and my body wasn't shutting down like it has been. That'd be a different story. But, even though I have a great nutritionist, my body still doesn't want to cut the weight. Lewis did an amazing job. He did everything he needed to do with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a point where, like I said, having a family and having kids, it hurts me. And I'll never choose my kids or my career over my kids. So if that means that I got to move up a weight so that way I can still compete and still do good and have a chance, and like I said, who knows? I mean, the perfect example is look at Cowboy, Donald Cerrone.
Yeah.
He was struggling at 55. He moves up to welterweight. Now he's not cutting as much weight. He's not killing himself. He's able to fight better. So you're going, there's a possibility that that's all I needed to do is move up to 50 to 185, and I could be a better fighter for that. But like I said, if they still had IVs, then it wouldn't be a question. My last couple of fights, I wouldn't have been hurting like I was, and you can refluid yourself 1,000 times better.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to adapt with the times. The times are now that you can't use IVs. Then guess what? Adapt with them. Move up in weight. Get something more now something more around my natural body weight. Like I said, one hard day of working out, I'm hitting 96. So now I just got to lose 10 pounds. 10 pounds is, whenever you think about it, 10 pounds is really one day of hard work for me. I could easily do that. So now instead of saying, hey, I got another 30 pounds to lose or 25 pounds to lose, you say, hey, you got 10. And that's where, I understand why the UFC can't do it, but I would love for them to put a for example, 165 and then a 175, because a 175 I could still make. But I know they can't, because whenever you think about it, they have a pool of, let's say, 400 fighters, right? And out of that pool, let's say 80 of them are in welterweight. And let's say out of the top 10, I know I'd go to 175. Some of the other guys could make 65. So now you're going, all right, now you're going to split up the pool from having a top 10 that's solid now down to a top 5, maybe a top 4 that are solid.
Yeah, it would be an interesting move. And I mean, a lot of people are talking about the big differences in weight in those weight classes. I mean, we could talk about that issue for days, and who knows, maybe one day they will come to it. And it's interesting that you mentioned fighters who move up in weight. Another example off the top of my mind is Robert Whittaker, who moved up from welterweight to middleweight and has had extreme success in the division as well. Let's talk about your first opponent at middleweight, Hector Lombard. I mean, this is a great fight because not only does he have a big name, he's also sort of a smaller middleweight, so your transition won't be as drastic. He's also someone who's moved up from welterweight. What's your reaction to drawing him as your first opponent in the middleweight division?
And that's really what I like, is that he's somebody that he's going to be strong. He's going to be strong for middleweight, right? He's going to be a guy that has been at welterweight, and I can, you can test the waters with. You can move, and you can you can see how it's going to be.
Talk to us about how you see the matchup going down. Obviously, with your wrestling and your striking, and you got Lombard, who is also a good grappler, and he's got knockout power. He's had some issues with cardio in the past. How do you see this fight playing out? What kind of advantages do you believe you'll hold over him, Johnny?
You know what? I think it's going to do good. I think it's going to do very good because, you got to think that I have knockout power too. I just haven't been able to show it because I didn't have what, I really think that it's because I've been using all my energy to make middleweight, welterweight. Now, what if I can use all that time and effort in refocusing on, sorry, it kicked in my truck.
That's all right.
To focus on jumping from, using all my energy to go down to 170, if I can use that energy to get my power back, to get my combinations better, to get my energy levels back, and be able to fight the way that I want to, I could knock people out again. And that's really what, in my head, I'm thinking, hey, if I can get stronger, I'm still going to be fast because I'm so used to 170, right? Mm-hmm. Where these middleweights, they're not used to fighting welterweight that have fast hands, that have, don't get me wrong, middleweight, they're going to have heavy hands as well. But if I can be faster than them, because I'm not ballooning up myself to fit middleweight, I'm trying to just make myself where I fit middleweight in a way that doesn't strain me. And that's really, like I said, if I can go out there, build a little bit of strength, still stay fast, still have cardio, and have the wrestling background that I do, I think I can compete with a lot of the guys at middleweight. I really do.
I mean, you've spoken time and time again about how you don't want to look forward past your opponent, but I'm curious, is the middleweight title in the back of your mind as a goal? Are you not at that point yet where you can really sort of set that in your mind as something that you want?
Well, it's something that I want, of course, right? Because anything I do, I want to set myself to the highest standard. So if I tell myself, oh, it's not in the mindset, then why am I moving up to middleweight? I should just retire now. I should just say, hey, I'm done with it and move on. But it is in my mindset, even though I haven't fought up there yet, but it's something that I'd like to try to achieve. Who knows if I can, right? Mm-hmm. But who's to say I can't? Yeah, I'm not the tallest guy. Yeah, I'm not the, I don't look like an 85-pounder, but I don't look like a 70-pounder either. And that's really what it boils down to is, in my mind, I'm telling myself I can and I will. And I think that's the most important thing, is sit there and say, hey, I can do this. I will do this. And that's really where my mindset is.
All right, Johnny, we really appreciate your time, and we'll let you go in just a moment. But one more thing that we wanted to quickly cover before we let you go, and that is obviously you mentioned you've got one fight left on your contract. As you know, last year, a huge story was fighters going to the free agency and, testing their worth. Kind of seems like slowly it's becoming a lot more acceptable these days. I'm sure you sort of focus just on the fight at hand, but where do you stand on that? If this is your last fight on your UFC contract, do you think you would potentially, look to explore the free agency? What is your standing with the UFC?
My standing with the UFC is good, I think. I hope it is. And, really, I haven't thought much on that, okay? Mm-hmm. I haven't. I know that, I got it. They're probably thinking, well, is Johnny washed up? Can he do more? Can he not? So in my head, I'm thinking I still have to prove my worth. So I got to go out there and perform to the way I know I can. And if I do that, I'll get my hand raised and they'll probably come back with another contract. But then again, they might, even though I win, they might say, Johnny, we just don't see a middleweight, and sorry. And if that happens, then we'll reassess what I need to do. But as of right now, literally, your contract is on the line, right?
Yeah.
So
do you sort of feel pressure, like in terms of your performance, to go out there and kind of have a really good performance, send a message, just so that next contract, assuming you get one, is something that you'll be happy with?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the way I'm looking at it. Every fight is your most important one, and this could be my last one. Meaning that they say, we don't want you back. Even if I win, like I said, even if I go out there and win, they might say, Johnny, we don't want you back. Or they might say, hey, we do want you back. So that's how important this fight is to me, that I got to go out there and prove my worth. Does it put more pressure on me? No. I think what it really boils down to is, can I still perform like I want to? You know, and is welterweight the weight that's going to let me do that? Let me show the fans and show the people that I can still do what I want to do and achieve what I need to achieve. And I do believe that. You know, even right now, my shape is good. I'm running. I'm doing things that I need to be doing like I would if I was making 170. And I'll tell you a little secret. Guess what? I'm not going to make 185. I've always felt the best at 182. Whenever I hit 182, I still feel awesome. And guess what I feel like whenever I fight my best? 195. So instead of gaining 20 pounds, that 20 pounds sitting on you, I don't want to see over 195 the day of the fight. And that's really, like I told my coaches, I said, you know, like I've said this before already, I didn't go up in weight to gain weight or to just say, hey, it doesn't matter. I can fight at 185 and jump up to 210 to fight. No. When do I feel the quickest? When do I feel the strongest? It's right around 182. I still have to eat good. I still have to run. I still have to work hard. And on fight day, if I can fight right around 192, 195, that's when I'm going to be the quickest, the strongest, and have the best shape. And now the way that I'm looking at it, instead of gaining 25 pounds back to fight, if I can do 10 pounds, now I'm not going to be as heavy, as water loaded, and all these things that have hurt me in the past. I'm going to be cutting all that out.
Yeah, well, it's exciting times for Johny Hendricks, and I mean, so much stuff going on. Johnny, before we let you go, and we really appreciate the time, just a quick prediction. How do you see yourself beating Hector Lombard on February 19th? What stands out in your mind as the way that you're walking out as the winner?
You know what? Right now, I really think that once a couple of things happen, I think that my hands are going to do the work. Because he's going to be a guy that's not going to back away from me. You know, he's going to be a guy that's going to move forward, that doesn't care about my power. He's going to try to hit me, and I know I'm going to be able to touch him. So I have a feeling that my hands are going to be what ends the fight.
Well, there you go, guys. The fight is going to be on February 19th, UFC Fight Night 105. Johny Hendricks takes on Hector Lombard. Johnny, I'm not going to lie, we're absolutely thrilled here that not only are you sticking around, but also the fact that you're not going to be killing yourself to make 170. So we're thrilled to be seeing you and watching you fight. Don't forget to follow the man on Twitter at Johny Hendricks. And Johnny, as always, thank you so much for your time. Sorry it went over, but it was a pleasure chatting to you.
Hey, no worries. Thank you, guys, and y'all have a wonderful day.